Poverty is policy.
An edition of the Laundering. A structural critique, the protagonist is the system, not any person. It analyzes the gradient, never the individual standing on it. The claim. Both poverty and the accessibility of the medical exit are policy variables, one set by allocation, the other by statute. A state that sets the floor low and the exit low friction produces a predictable distribution of deaths at the bottom of that gradient, and then describes the distribution as a sum of individual choices. That reattribution from structure to agency is the laundering.
Whose critique?
The one disability rights organizations, the UN Special Rapporteur, and dissenting clinicians have already made. They argue for the floor. So does this edition.
Section 1. The laundered claim.
Autonomy, dignity, compassionate choice. The claim relocates causation. It takes an outcome produced on a gradient the state designed and redescribes it as the sum of free decisions made by the people standing on the gradient. This edition does not analyze those people, it analyzes the gradient.
Section 2. The dirty input.
Two policy set variables. The first is the floor: income and disability support, palliative care, housing, set by allocation and set low. The second is the exit, set accessible by statute. Neither is a fact of nature, both are decisions. The subject is the relationship the two decisions create.
Section 3. The wash cycle.
The vocabulary of individual choice applied to a decision made on a state-set gradient. The records run against the vocabulary, an eligibility framework expanded by statute, set beside social support lines that did not keep pace. The scale is neither small nor static, on the order of 16,500 provisions in 2024, roughly 5.1% of all deaths, with the year-over-year increase smaller than in the program's early years. Track 2. The pathway opened in 2021 was 4.4%, 732 cases. The edition lets those numbers, verified and time-stamped, carry the argument.
Section 4. The gradient measured.
The two policy variables, side by side. The exit, set by statute, widened. C14, Truchon, C7, Track 2. 5.1% of all deaths by 2024. The floor, set by allocation, did not. The Canada Disability Benefit tops out at $200 a month in 2025. By the government's own figures, not enough to lift households out of poverty anywhere, against roughly 1.6 million disabled Canadians below the poverty line. About 42% of Canadians who die receive no palliative care. Only about 15% can access it at home. Set the friction of staying high and the friction of exiting low, and the distribution of outcomes at the bottom of that slope is not a mystery of psychology. It is what the slope is for. The gradient is set by policy at both ends.
Section 4. The tell.
A structural outcome attributed to individual choice. The relative friction between staying livable and exiting is itself a policy output, and the deaths at the bottom of that gradient are produced by the design even absent any drafted intent. This is the load-bearing distinction. The edition does not claim the state wants the deaths. It documents that the state has built conditions in which the exit is the lower friction option for the unsupported. The first claim demands a memo that does not exist. The second is visible in the budget lines. And the sources, who argue for the floor. The UN Special Rapporteur in 2019 on safeguards against requests made simply because there are no community-based alternatives or palliative care. A 2021 UN joint statement, the expansion risks furthering the devaluation of life with disability. A 2025 UN review, a systemic failure of the state party. Incentive, not intent. The gradient is the finding.
Section 6. What this does and does not claim.
It does not claim intent, not that any government wants these deaths, and not that any clinician or official acts in bad faith. It does not evaluate any individual death, and it does not present the exit as a rational endpoint. It does not claim that assistance in dying should not exist.
And what it does claim.
That both the floor and the exit are deliberately set policy variables. That the exit was widened while the floor was not. That a predictable distribution of outcomes follows from any such gradient, by design and without any drafted intent. That UN human rights bodies and disability rights organizations have identified this as a systemic risk, and that to describe the result as a sum of free individual choices is to launder a structural outcome as personal agency. Poverty is policy, so is the accessibility of the exit.
Section 5. The metadata and the series.
The data is the argument, the eligibility expansion timeline plotted against social spending, disability support, and housing lines. Track 2 growth, the gap between requests and the supports that might have changed them. The through line is a structural outcome laundered as individual choice, the sharpest single instance of the series grammar. Its institutional critique sibling is dignity. The method is named plainest in the decoder, the Band-Aid. Poverty is policy, so is the accessibility of the exit.